Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Sparkplug. Sparkplug is a series where we interview women in the fields of STEAM. Today, we'll be interviewing Reanna John, a telematics system engineer at GM. I'm Vrisha, the team captain and main engineer for this team.
Hi, I'm Sonika, and I'm the lead of finance.
So, were there any clubs in particular that you enjoyed growing up?
Yeah, so in high school, I was part of robotics, of course. I was part of Team 226 in Troy. I was also part of our school's Bollywood dance team, which I started my last year. And then I was on board for our school's ISA, so Indian American Student Association. And then I was also in marching band and symphonic band and a few other clubs, but those are kind of the main three that I was a part of. And I really enjoyed my time in all of them, actually.
So, was there anything that you did in particular in the robotics team?
Yeah, so in the robotics team, I was involved with the business aspect of things. And I think I joined robotics a little bit later in my high school career. So I joined when I was a junior, and I think I spent a lot of time just kind of learning from the people around me. There was a lot of people who were really experienced, really smart and hardworking, and they were all really, really good friends and good people to work with.
So, what made you want to go into electronics engineering?
So I didn't really know what I wanted to do in when I was in high school. I didn't know what I wanted to go into for my career or my major in college. And joining robotics actually exposed me to a lot of different types of engineering. And it showed me that there is a really, really big opportunity to be an engineer. I'm really, really happy that I joined robotics actually, because I probably would not have had any previous exposure to engineering or electrical engineering if I didn't join the team. So, I started college, I did electrical engineering, and I went through that whole college experience and engineering and everything. And then now I started as an engineer for GM.
So, what job opportunities might there be for someone going into electrical engineering?
So there are a lot of opportunities for engineering in general, and then specifically electrical engineering. I would say in this area, automotive is huge. You're going to find a lot of different engineering opportunities in automotive, and that's it's automotive, and then all of the industries that support automotive too. So you're looking at auto suppliers, which are based a lot in Detroit as well to kind of support. So suppliers, automotive, and you can also kind of move into kind of anything that supports an electronic product. So, there's Motorola that's in Chicago. And of course, you can go to the Bay Area and you can be supporting Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, all of these areas that have anything to do with electrical, electronics. You can even go into aerospace, Boeing. There are so many different companies, and even within those companies, it doesn't necessarily have to be a specifically, okay, I'm doing electrical engineering every single day. You could be working with suppliers, you could be doing software. There's so many different paths that you can go within all of these companies too.
Yeah, that's really cool. Me and our team were actually wondering, when you were in college, was there ever a really moment, a really important moment in college that you were that was really important to your career in electrical engineering?
Yeah, so I would say there was the big turning point for me was getting my first job. So this is my biggest suggestion to anyone trying to become an engineer or even in general, any career path. What people want to see once you graduate college is your previous job experience. So when I was in college, I was a freshman, I just started, and I kind of just looked around at different co-op opportunities. And co-op means you're working as an engineer, student engineer, and you're also, going to your classes, attending classes and everything too. So I just took a chance. I applied to a few things that I saw online, and I ended up getting an interview and getting a job within the first few months of me even starting college. So that really showed me like, okay, if I have this potential, everybody does too, and it's just a matter of kind of putting yourself out there and taking up any opportunities that you see and getting that work experience in as early as possible. That's like one of the things that you can see, you learn these things in your classes. They are probably going to be pretty difficult. Engineering is pretty difficult. And then you see it being used at work and you're like, okay, well, this isn't so bad. I can kind of understand this. I can look at this from a new perspective because this is similar to what I'm learning in my classes, and that's applying something versus just learning it, taking an exam on it, kind of doing assignments. It's a very, very different experience. And it's a very fruitful and like supplemental experience that's going to, keep benefiting you as you continue with your career path.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of, do you have any tips for college students trying to look for like co-op or job opportunities?
Yeah, so I would say look at the companies. This kind of applies to any job search, not even just college students, but kind of try to look at companies that are at your career fair. They usually will have listings online. And even if you feel like, oh, this is supposed to be for a sophomore or a junior level person, just apply to it anyway. Even if you feel like, oh, I don't really have the right background for it, you may have like a few things that match up with the job description, just apply for it anyway. And who knows, you might come up with an experience that you wouldn't have normally thought of. So definitely go to your career fair, try to make contacts there. The career fair is basically, usually happens twice a year, and there will be companies from all over that are coming and they'll set up booths. You take your resume, you talk to different people, different recruiters, and you kind of get their contact information. These recruiters are seeing a ton of people, but I would say go directly to their website and like use a career fair as like a list of companies that have opportunities available for students. So now you have a list of companies that you can go through, check out each one of their pages, and apply to anything that you see that could possibly relate. Apart from that, if you are in the area, there are usually always suppliers and OEMs that have like student opportunities available, like summer internships or even co-ops like I did. I was working and I was going to school, but for the most part, they usually have like a lot of summer internship opportunities as well.
Great, yeah. Our team was also wondering, were there any important skills in high school, specifically in robotics, that you learned that were useful in college?
I think the main thing with robotics is trying to get in as much technical experience as you can. The technical aspect of things sometimes is a little bit more challenging to apply. But on top of that, robotics has so many different areas. There's so many different ways that you can get involved, and there's a lot of people doing a lot of things. So I would say learn from your friends, see what they're up to, maybe like take a meeting and shadow them for a day and see, what they're doing, and see if that's something that interests you. And then also in general, pay attention in your math classes. People say, oh, like math doesn't really matter, or it's not that important, or you'll never use it. But honestly, all the math that you use in high school, it all applies to all of your college math classes. And for electrical engineering, and I think for a few other of the disciplines, it's Calc 1, 2, 3, 4, linear, it's a lot of math classes. And I say that not just because of the math part of it, but because those principles apply to so many different other disciplines. So it does apply to a mechanical engineering. It does apply a lot to electrical engineering, the calculus that you use. But I will say that when you start your job, it's good to have a really strong baseline knowledge, but you're not going to be doing differential equations every day at work for the most part, So yeah, there are a lot of important math concepts that apply, but apart from that, being in robotics, it really gives you the opportunity to work with a lot of people. And in engineering, you're constantly on a team, you're constantly working with other people. So if you can get used to that, if you can hear other people out, really learn how to work well with them, you will be able to succeed in engineering too.
Thank you, especially because a lot of us want to go into engineering in our team and a few of our alumni from our team. So, as you know, our mission statement is equality in STEAM. We were wondering did you face any setbacks when you went into the STEAM field?
Yeah, so when you're a woman, when you're a person of color in a male-dominated space or a predominantly white sort of space, people sometimes are not used to dealing with women in their workplace. It depends on company to company though. Some places it is majority male. It's a male-dominated space through and through. And then some places like GM are really, really diverse. So I would say that diversity is such a like important thing to have in your workplace. And, you know, given the opportunity, I would love to, like, how should I say this? Like, you should always choose to work at a place that prioritizes diversity. You know, they can say diversity on their web pages and everything, but it is much more important to see that in action and prioritize a workplace that prioritizes diversity, women in STEM, and promotes that as well.
Yeah.
What do you think are the hugest pros of having diversity in companies?
Yeah, so I think that different people come at problems in different ways. No matter what race, gender, whatever it is, people will have different perspectives and different opinions. And the more different ideas that you can get, the better chance you'll have at reaching a fully well thought out solution. You know, the more perspectives that we're getting from everybody around us, the more different people that we can surround ourselves by, the more we learn about other people, ourselves, the types of solutions that might come up, the types of problems that might come up. And a really good example of this is safety testing used to only be for a male body type. So, you know, the safety precautions in place were for a male body. So, you know, of course, women are biologically, our bodies are different. So it was only very recently that male and female body types were accounted into safety testing for cars. So that's like a good example of why diversity is important.
Yeah, do you have any advice for a person of color or a woman that's trying to go into the field of STEAM or into like engineering who might face similar setbacks as you?
Yeah, so the main thing is everyone deserves a seat at the table. Everyone has a voice. Everyone's voice is important. Everyone's opinion is important. And, you know, even if you're in a space that is not, you know, is a majority, you know, white dominated or male dominated, like engineering typically is, everyone deserves to have their opinion heard. So, you know, sometimes it might be a little intimidating. Sometimes you might feel a little insecure, but avoid all of that because every single person has an idea that deserves to be heard. You know, it's easy to fall into the trap of saying, oh, you know, this person knows more than me. It doesn't matter if you've been in the industry for 6 months or if you've been in the industry for 40 years or something. You know, everybody has something to contribute, and everybody in engineering and in life, honestly, anytime you're in a career path or a job, no one knows everything, especially engineering. No one knows everything. We're all there working as a team so that we can fill in each other's knowledge gaps. So, you know, you might be working with someone who has been around for years and years and years and years, and you can still bring something to the table and you can still, you know, contribute. So don't let anything stop you. Everybody deserves a seat at the table. I love saying that to women in STEM.
Amazing. Speaking of, did you have any inspirational figures growing up, like women in STEM or people of color?
Yeah, I would say my mom. She does a little bit of engineering work, and she was kind of the person who who really encouraged me to do engineering. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and my mom said, you know what, engineering has a lot of opportunities. It's, already a male dominated space. You are someone who's, a person of color, a woman of color. You will be able to find opportunities there, and you'll be able to really succeed in it. And having my mom like be there every step of the way and encourage me and kind of push me forward is, that's kind of what got me to where I am.
Yeah, that's really cool. Is there something that you achieved that you're really proud of?
Let's think. I would say, going back to like my first job experience, let me talk about that a little bit more. So, like I mentioned, I was, just a few months into college. I had just on a whim kind of applied. My mom said, hey, just apply for some positions. Who knows, you might get something. I applied for this position and I interviewed for it. And I didn't even really match any of the qualifications. They wanted like a junior level person who is, in software, who knew how to code. And I hadn't even taken one coding class yet in college. So I was sitting in this interview and I'm like, trying my best to, keep up. And there was one manager there and one HR lady. And the HR lady called me and she was like, hey, like, I'm sure you kind of knew this position is kind of for someone who has different abilities than you. But, I think that you would be a really, really great employee. I think that you have like a really, really, she was basically saying that she would love to have me join their team, but that position just wasn't right for me. So she went ahead and she submitted my resume to other managers for positions that she thought I would be good for. She saw potential in me and I interviewed for another position because she pushed for it. And I ended up getting the job over 6 other people that applied, so it all kind of has to do with, it doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, you're the smartest person in the room, everything, you're the most experienced, who spent the most time on the job. A large part of it is your attitude and how you can interact with people and how you can show your enthusiasm and your willingness to learn, especially as a student.
Yeah, that's really inspiring. As a student, sometimes I kind of tend to be like, oh, like that kid is like so smart, like he gets everything. Blah, blah, blah. I feel like sometimes like we can be so like
hard on ourselves, right?
Yeah. So it's really interesting how you said that. That you got that position over like 6 other people.
Mm-hmm.
Bart, do you have anything to add?
Nope, not really.
Okay. What helped motivate you when you faced setbacks in STEAM and also like in general?
Yeah, I would say that the most difficult part about my schooling and career has been my classes. So, of course, I was working at the same time. I was like working 18 to 20 hours a week in Southfield, and then I had my classes in Detroit. And, I'd be driving back and forth. I'd be, late to class because I was working on something with my engineer. And it was, especially my upper level engineering classes, they started getting quite tough. I think when things were really tough, you're studying late night at the library, you don't know how your next exam is going to go. I just try to push myself and tell myself, just make it through. And, college is kind of temporary. These classes are tough, but, they prepare you. And once you're done with that, you're kind of done. If I'm struggling in linear systems and signals, the chances of me doing upper high level math and engineering work in my job is pretty low, unless I'm specifically looking for that sort of position. Unless I'm like, okay, I really love this aspect of it, I'm going to look for jobs specifically that have to do with certain engineering or technical aspects, electrical design, stuff like that. Unless I'm really looking for that, I probably won't be doing much of the super ultra high level nitty gritty engineering. I think what's more important is, getting that baseline knowledge of what you're doing, engineering, which robotics is going to help you with that too. You're going to have that knowledge before you even get into college, and for you guys before you even get into high school. So yeah, that was a really like tough part of it, but I would say it was all worth it, because my job right now, it's really, really, it's really great. I love my job right now, so the struggles of engineering school, of course it's going to be hard. Piece of advice for that would definitely be get a study group, learn from your friends, make friends within your program, learn from them, and teach them too. And that will make your, college years kind of a lot smoother.
So thank you, Miss John, for your time today, from talking to us about your previous experiences and for your pieces of advice. Before we sign off, do you have any questions for our team?
Yeah. So why don't you guys talk about like some of the things that you're really proud of about your team, and then maybe something that like you've been like struggling with, like maybe like a challenge that you've been facing. Yeah, I'm just like curious to know. Nothing formal. You guys can go ahead and chat.
Okay, first Portia. Yeah, okay. So a couple months ago, we got to meet the senator, and we talked to her about women in government and our education system in Michigan and like STEM and all that. And that was a really cool experience. She was really nice. It was Senator Mallory McMorrow, and yeah, she was so nice, and it was like a really fun experience. I got to meet her. Yeah.
That is so cool, you guys. Wow, that's awesome. That's super cool.
Well, for me, one of my personal biggest accomplishments was being able to just get a better reach in engineering and just having a better exposure. But it's being able to just see how the team has grown over the season, and making friends with a few of the members who I didn't know, especially the ones a year older than us, was definitely one of kind of the greatest achievements for coming out of this robotics team. But
Yeah.
definitely being able to help the less fortunate during the outreach aspects was definitely a huge accomplishment. But definitely for downsides, there were definitely a few coming into robotics, not being able to know much, whether it was through CAD, programming, or just basic hardware knowledge, but business was also a crucial part. So to me, not being much active on the business side was definitely something I felt like I could have done more on. And I don't want to say it was a downside for the team. Sonica was definitely really helpful for the business side as well as engineering, but definitely being able to approach a challenge differently would have been helpful back then. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And also with Corona, yeah, stuff just got so complicated, with Corona last year and lockdown. And yeah, it wasn't really the best time, especially for robotics. But I mean, we got through it, and I feel like it kind of brought us closer together, because we kind of had to be more open-minded, be more creative with our means of communication and how we would go about to make the team successful. So I guess that was I guess one of the good stuff about the pandemic.
Yeah, definitely. That's so awesome. It's really awesome to meet new people. It's so cool that you guys got that opportunity with the senator, and yeah, for challenges, there's always going to be, especially, any group that you're in, engineering or otherwise, there's always going to be a few challenges, and you guys seem to be taking them head on too. So that's awesome. That's really awesome to hear, you guys.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching Spark Plug. We have more to come from the series as our season has officially started, 2021 to 2022's First Tech Challenge Fright Frenzy. So stay tuned for more about our team and the new season. Bye.